And we are live, everyone. But you will notice that Ralph is not with us. He was having some difficulty getting his camera to turn on, so hopefully we'll be able to at least hear Ralph. But it appeared that some other application was using the camera, and Restream couldn't find it. So, Ralph,
I have faith in him.
join us if you can. And 4 people have already left. No, then it just jumped up to 7. So,
Come on, guys.
Welcome to the True Turtle Tom Show. I'm Tom. I've got Matthew. And this is the place to learn about caring for your turtles and tortoises. The best place. The only live show on the internet all about turtles each and every week, Thursday night at 8.
With the most, yes, I'm doing excellent, but we are also the one with the most viewer involvement.
Heck yeah. We love you. We love you, and we're going to wish you a Merry Christmas, and we're going to go to the chat, and we're going to call out the people we have, and hopefully Ralph will be able to join us. Even just give us a heck yeah if you are okay just listening to Ralph.
Heck yeah.
Put that in the chat. So, okay, Sam is with us. Phil, Wesley, who else? Christopher Richard.
Hey, Chris.
Michael Fathuvaswamy. Stephen Cifuente.
Hey, I read that, Stephen.
Star. He has the gold star by his, I don't know what that means.
Oh, it's not on mine.
It was pinned. I pinned his comment.
Oh, okay. I think he may have left. He said no Ralph, bye.
Oh. Sebastian is here, and Kyle, and Mike.
Tony.
From Hawaii. Aloha, Mike. And Mike Chan, CNC Tortoises. Mark De Silva, Tony Monahan, Mikey Ben, Nathan Fanger, or if that's how
Fanger?
Yes.
Like danger, Fanger.
He is in. He's like probably lives like 2 miles from me. I don't know.
Nice.
No, Ralph, I'm out. Oh man. So yes, Stephen, you are such a joker. So Ralph, please do join us. We would love to just listen, even if we can't get your camera working. He's trying to get it working. Yeah, we want Ralph. We want Ralph. Okay.
We do too.
So Matthew and I were having a very interesting conversation, just the beginning of the conversation, and let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Birds. I want a northern cardinal as a pet. Why does nobody have a northern cardinal as a pet, Matthew?
Oh, I'm sure there are some that do, but I was talking with Carl Franklin the other day. Great conversation. I love Carl. He's a brilliant guy. But one of the things that he brought up was, just with turtles and turtles in general in the hobby, would we be willing to give it up if that meant saving turtles in general? Songbirds was the example he gave that, it's illegal to even possess a feather. And it's, really only because of that strict, enforcement and laws that we still have songbirds. So, I'm being completely honest. I'm selfish, and I don't want to see the ability to have turtles and tortoises go. But it is, it's a moral conundrum. How would I feel if that was, the only solution? I don't think it's the only solution. But how would it, really hit? And for me, it hit hard. I don't like that even, the thought that we couldn't take care of them, or, it's such a huge integral part of my life. It's not it's not a hobby for me. I know a lot of people, have said the same thing. It's not a hobby for them. It's more than that, but it is. And how would that sting? Pretty bad for
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. Steven says parrots all the way. Michael says, is there a way they can guarantee that habitat loss would stop and give the colonians a chance?
Yeah, and that's where I people can say whatever they want about poaching. I'm not for poaching whatsoever. I think every wild turtle and tortoise in the world should stay wild. But if we if we stop collecting them out of the wild completely all over the world, but we still destroy their habitat, they're going to go away. I mean, that's when it comes down to it. That's what causes the vast majority of decline in any of these animals. No one is peeing in my room. I have an ice maker in here, just so if anyone hears that little sound, Tom got a little nervous at the beginning.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Michael said, the habitat loss to give colonians a chance. Not in Florida, I know that. There's other states that I think do a better job of it than others. I don't know if that's going to be enough in the end, though. Which is one reason I find the preservation of these animals so important. Being able to breed them, being able to have pure bloodlines, pure groups, in the off chance that they are wiped out in the wild. Hopefully one day, if that did happen, there would be keepers like us that have pure bloodlines, and that's actually how my conversation with Carl got started. I had a friend, actually, Chris from the chat, hit me up, and he's needing some more three-toes, some Carolina Triungus hatchlings that he wants to raise up. He wanted to have 15 by the end of this year, and he only had 5. So I'm trying to help him locate 10 more. So I hit Carl up. I know he's got a massive group, but they're not letting any go for the fact that they do captive releases there, and they have to keep bloodlines pure, and they're very mindful of that. And Viviana as well, I talked to her, and she's in the same boat. They're wanting to keep those, and I'm the same way with my native species. I don't give eastern box turtles out with the hope that they're going to be released here in Indiana. So I get that, and that wasn't a problem. We were able to find him some Triungus, so that worked out well. But yeah, I mean that's how it started. Trying to find three-toes.
For sure. And so Mark says, are we only talking about North American? Yeah, absolutely. There are ways you can keep native animal or native birds. Falconry is one. And so there's some ways around it. But yeah, no, you can't go collect some robin eggs and hatch a robin. That and you think about it, that's just not something anybody does, right? Like when you think about it, it's like,
well,
why not? Why? Well, yeah, of course some people do it. But maybe I should go look on some YouTube videos or something.
Now, as a kid, I'll admit, I don't know if anyone's familiar with killdeers. They're one of my favorite birds. As a kid, one got hit by a car near us, and of course, I talked to my parents into letting me take it inside and nurse it back to health. And same thing with the hummingbird. The hummingbird didn't end up as well. It flew into a window and killed itself. But it got to the point where it could fly. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure there are people out there with them.
Yeah. So Sam, hey Ralph,
can you guys? Can you hear me?
We can hear you
loud and clear.
I don't know what the hell's going on, and I apologize, but
no, it's fine. I think everyone's fine with even just hearing your voice.
That's right.
I don't know why. I've just been trying to go through settings, and it just will not allow me to access the camera, and I have no idea why.
I think your camera is being used by another program. I think that's what it is. But we are glad to have you, Ralph.
I don't know what other program it could be, but
It's something. Something.
Yeah.
You might have to reboot your whole computer to get that other program to stop. But, we're talking about birds right now, so I'm gonna answer Sam's question here.
birds.
Yes, believe it or not, birds.
Okay.
He says house sparrows and starlings are technically invasive, so they do not pertain to non-native birds. Sam. So
Yeah.
you can kill house sparrows and you can kill starlings, and so like real birders, they will set traps for house sparrows if those house sparrows get in their bluebird box, and they will kill them.
Or there's a guy with I forget what kind of bird it is, an American crystal maybe, but he hunts them with his. He'll just drive in his car and open the window and let it out, and it'll go grab a sparrow. It's amazing. If you guys haven't seen that, look it up.
That is hilarious.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm just messing around. I think I'm just gonna go just do this. So, actually, I'll do that. So, Ralph, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Officially.
I mean, I feel bad. I don't know what the hell's going on.
No
with the
worries.
camera
No
thing.
worries.
Yeah.
You're loud and clear, and everyone is excited to hear from you.
Well, okay.
So, how are things going?
Going good. Going good.
Excellent. Y'all ready for Christmas?
As ready as I'll ever be. You know, I'm not a real big Christmassy kind of a guy, but yeah.
Understood. Now, did you get a present for all your tortoises?
That's the most important thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I stocked up on food and stocked up on light bulbs and stocked up on whatever I need to stock up on. You know,
light bulbs. That's kind of an interesting topic. I got into a little bit of a discussion over the weekend with someone on the TTPG group about incandescent bulbs. You probably buy a lot. Did you stock up on the bulbs that are now not able to be sold?
Yeah, it's I used to get all mine at Home Depot.
Yep.
They had a bulb that works just great for me. It was, I think they call them R20 flood lamp bulb, and you get them either 30 watt or 45 watt incandescent.
Oh, nice.
And that's what I use for heat lamps. Of course, I'm not heating great big giant enclosures. I have individual enclosures, so I just need a hot spot, and they work perfectly. But as we all know now, they've discontinued all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I
Have
found
you?
them online. There's different companies online that you can buy that stuff, and I buy cases at a time. They come in a case of 12, so I'll buy 3 or 4 cases of them at a time.
Have you guys ever checked dollar stores? I have the best luck finding incandescent lights at dollar stores, Dollar Tree, Dollar Hut, any of them.
Well, you know, you can get the typical round, old style bulb, I guess, there. But I use it's the R20. It looks like a little floodlight.
Right.
That's what they call them, floodlight. I've not seen those at a dollar store, but then I've not really dwelled on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I find the little ones on Amazon. They have them in 25 watt, 50 watt, 75 watt. I like those.
Yeah.
But they're small. They come in little 2-inch boxes, individual boxes.
Oh, well, now mine are a lot, you know, I don't know. I don't have any of the boxes open here, but they're like the size of a Zoom Med 25 watt or 50 watt flood lamp. Same idea.
Yeah.
And even the Zoom Med ones are hard to come by, and they're a little bit pricey.
Everything that I've read I think these obscure online outlets are gonna sell the last ones they have, and then
Yeah,
we're
and
gonna
then they're
have
gonna be
to
gone.
we're gonna have to start buying expensive bulbs.
Yeah.
Michael says that his Dollar Tree has stopped carrying the incandescent bulbs. They did carry them for way after Home Depot and Lowe's stopped
Yeah,
carrying them. So it's just the sources are just going to dwindle.
dry
And,
up.
just
Yeah.
eh,
Well, that's why I found these sources online,
yeah,
and and I had to be careful how they ordered them. Uh, One guy said, a 3-pack for, I don't know, $9.95 or something. I thought, well, that's a pretty good deal. But it turned out it was one bulb for $9.95.
yeah,
So I
exactly.
promptly sent it back to him,
Yeah.
told him where he could put it, and went somewhere else. Um, but yeah, I just got some from. You ever deal with LL Reptile?
I,
I
I
know who they
know 'em.
are.
If you buy in bulk from them, you can get some good deals.
Okay.
Just Google LL Reptile,
Yeah.
and I just got a case of the 25-watt bulbs from them. They were actually on back ordered, but I said just let the order ride, and it showed up here the other day. So a box of case of 12, and reasonably
Those,
priced. You got to watch their deals. Everybody has sales, and you know how it goes.
yeah. And those were Zoomed brand?
Yeah, it's the Zoom Ed. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's the answer. And I just wonder if there is any way for us to collaborate, like as TTPG members, to buy 1,000 bulbs or something for, and distribute them at the shows,
Yeah.
or the TTPG conference. But I think this is a real problem. Michael says he's switching to deep heat projectors and using LEDs for light. And Sam is saying he's using LED Arcadia plant lights, Arcadia halogen for heat. So those are not cheap. We used to be able
Nope.
to buy a halogen bulb for cheap, but no more in your average retail store.
Yeah, you can't find anything cheap anymore, and of course the cheap ones burn out in no time.
Yeah, that is true.
So that's why I have literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. They come 12 in a box, so I have 7 boxes of them. So
Yeah.
84 is not bad.
so that'll get me. That should last me a couple years, hopefully.
And I think Steven is not very impressed with LLL Reptiles animals because he says they have good deals on products. Of course, Steven is out in California. So
To each their own.
yeah, exactly.
I can. I'm not plugging them per se, but I've
Understood.
shopped around even the local reptile stores and all that,
Mhm.
and I can get them cheaper and faster from LL Reptile in California than I can to drive down the road 5 miles to the big reptile store. And I'd like to support the local store, but and I said, listen, I'll buy a case of them, cut me a little deal. And they tell me to, well, let's just say I don't buy them.
There's this website. I think it's owned by the same people that do the Lagarde brand. It's like wholesale reptile supply. Has anybody
Hey,
tried that one?
something just happened here.
Uh-oh. No, we can't see you.
I
Can
just
hear-
had a light pop on
Ooh,
next to my camera,
interesting.
but it's not my camera. But my light.
Shoot.
Hmm.
See, I'm gonna look at wholesale reptile supply and see how much they're selling light bulbs because you can buy in bulk from them.
Sure.
Boy, they don't have that many. They have Mega Ray.
Good damn.
So, Michael, I see your comment. The same thing may happen with artwork that you buy at the auction and get it shipped back to you. It may show up shattered.
Yeah, that sucked, Matthew. You posted a picture of that on.
Yeah, still not too happy about it. They never called me. I'm not surprised though.
What else is going on, gentlemen?
Well, we were talking about.
You don't want me on to talk about light bulbs, I'm sure.
Well, we like your insight on anything.
Yeah.
But we certainly, it's been what, about 8 months since the Egyptian tortoise decision by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and how are things going on that front? Anything changed? Has your perspective changed, or do you have any advice for people that are working with animals that might be listed in the future, like wood turtles or
alligator
spider
snapping
tortoises?
turtles?
My perspective hasn't changed at all.
Good.
Yep.
I think we got screwed. I mean, and that's about the kindest way I can put it.
Yep.
It is what it is,
Yep.
And I'm not going to dwell on it a whole lot because there's not a whole lot we can gain from it other than the experience of it all. And, I reached out to our local congressperson, and I reached out to our state senator, and I reached out to US FWS multiple times, and I got squat from all of them. So that tells me they could care less, and that was nice. I didn't call them names. I called and I sent emails and followed that with phone calls, and I got 2 responses. One from the local congressman, and it was an aide who basically said it'll take an act of Congress to repeal it. So I kind of figured that, but I was hoping you could be a little more helpful. And I heard from FWS after umpteen phone calls and spoke to a gentleman who was very nice, but he read about 2 lines off of a script, and that was it.
That's disappointing.
And that's all I could ever get. And I called them all multiple times. So that tells me we're on our own.
Yeah.
Which is okay, So let's make a positive out of it. I think I said this before.
Yep.
I'm not giving up what I do, because the one thing I will say to anybody who wants to hear, not one of these organizations out there that have established these rules has set forth any kind of a proactive plan to preserve the species. Nothing. Not a single word. Zero. Nada. And if you ask them, they'll go silent on you, because I have. So that tells me they don't care. It was just a case of passing a rule. So now we're on our own. Now we need to move ahead, and that's what I'm doing.
So what are your plans with Egyptians going forward? Just knowing how many you produce a year, and I don't know if there's that many people in Florida by itself that will want to buy them. I'm sure there will be for a while, but do you have any long-term plans on what you want to do with them?
I don't yet. I have some ideas, and I'm working on a couple of things in my head, which doesn't mean a whole lot. There's a lot of empty space there. So,
no, there's not.
But I'm trying to come up with a plan that I think somehow will be beneficial to the species. And when I do, then I'd like to talk to some people, but that's about it for now.
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing what you do come up with.
Yeah. It's got to be right, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be, it's whatever it is, whatever I come up with, it has to be done right, unless somebody else has an idea. But I
Well,
don't.
I've got a million ideas.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. I got a lot of space up in here for ideas. It's just getting it out. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the important thing is that you're still doing the work, and that is the most important thing. It's not changing what you're doing. You are still working with the species and moving forward, and that's for the turtles.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm gonna keep doing it. I might have to modify my schedule a little bit. Which I hate to do. There's no sense breeding and trying hatching out 35 or 40 hatchlings if I can't do something with them. I mean, but then if I do that, then they win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want for them to win. So that's what I gotta figure something out, and it'll take me a while, but I'll come up with a plan.
What is the yearly cycle like when you're breeding Egyptians? Like, so
Meaning,
in May. So the decision came out in May.
yeah.
So when are you pairing animals? When are they laying eggs? When are they hatching?
Well, they're starting to lay eggs now.
Okay.
The breeding cycle in my group has just passed, so they're starting to lay eggs now. We'll see, how many we get, and that's my cycle.
Obviously, I work with hingebacks, but I try to pay attention to when these other animals are laying eggs, but with social media and stuff like that. But yeah, it seems like a lot of tropical species lay in the fall, and in early winter. Redfoots. I'm seeing Camp Kennan dig up redfoot eggs. My hingebacks are starting to lay. Egyptians are starting to lay. Matthew, do you have anything starting to lay right now?
I'm hoping my Homiana will start laying here soon. I actually
Okay,
thought I had
yep.
an egg in there the other day, but I'll send you pictures.
Pancakes.
Pancakes are.
When do they
I have.
lay? Dawson has your pancake.
Yeah, Dawson has mine, but they were laying. I mean, early in the season, they seem to lay throughout the year. Chris has my old group of Rhinoclemys manni, and they would lay generally starting about now, maybe a little earlier.
It's good stuff. So Sam is wondering. So Dawson and Sam are new, younger guys. They want to know more about raising the Egyptians, about the species. Sam is interested in how you set them up. If you could give us a visual of your enclosures. And then Sam specifically asked about using the crushed shells. I know substrate for Egyptians is one of the most controversial topics there is.
Yeah, I don't.
People, I've seen fights break out in the internet about it.
You have no idea how many arguments I've had with people over that.
There you go.
And I'll tell the story again. Many years ago, that a gentleman who mentored me used the crushed coral or oyster shell, as they call it. And this is going back in the days when the animals came in the country. They were wild caught animals, and guys like John Baylor, and we all know who he is, all right? And my friend and a few others, they used that in a combination of sand. And it's really because they didn't know any better, to be honest with you. And it worked. And when something works, you just kind of stick with it.
Yep.
And it never ever gave anybody a problem, never. And so that's how I was kind of taught. And I've tried to modify. I've tried doing different kinds of sand and mulch and wood chips and gravel and all kind of stuff over the years. And I always came back to the crushed coral, and I do mix some sand in with it. But what happens over a little time is that the sand gets filtered down to the bottom. And now it's about 2 inches deep, and it gets filtered down to the bottom. So that's.
And how can one substrate satisfy the needs of all tortoise owners across the world? It's just there is no right answer for substrate. Some people can't get things like you're talking about. I have no idea where I would get it.
Tractor Supply.
There you go.
Yeah, I get it at Tractor Supply. I mean, it's readily available.
Is it crushed oyster shells?
Yeah.
It's chicken grit. I mean,
yeah.
It's just plain old chicken grit, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a difference between crushed coral and actual oyster shell.
Mm-hmm.
Because oyster shell is in fact oyster shell. And it's crushed up, but it's flat. It can be real sharp edges. I do not recommend using true oyster shell.
Okay.
I use this chicken grit, and it's like pea gravel. It's like real fine gravel, or real coarse sand, if you will.
Now that I have a testudo, I've been experimenting with dry type substrates, and yeah, I need to check it out. I need to try this.
I use the crushed coral with a lot of different species, but not as their main area they're going to dig in. I use it around their dish, their water dish or their food dish. That way, if a little bit of substrate gets in there and they eat it, it's not that big a deal. Plus, it makes it a lot easier to clean up everything, I found.
Tell us about why they need a substrate that dries really well and drains really well.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, they come from an environment that is basically dry. All right. Now, I say that they're found right on the coast of Libya, Egypt, and into Israel. Literally right on the coast. Maybe from the coast inland 20, 30 miles. That's their range. And what happens is the combination of the waters off of the Mediterranean Sea and the air, it creates condensation, a lot of condensation in the air in the morning. So those people wake up in the morning and everything's covered with dew, everything. I had a guy tell me one time he was staying at a resort and he had a book, some fancy book he was reading. And he left the book sit outside. And he came out in the morning to pick his book up, and it was like a sponge,
Yeah.
It absorbed all this moisture over the night. But so that's their primary source of water. But by mid-morning, the sun comes out and it dries everything up, and then that's it. There's no more moisture. And then the animals hide. They find a clump of grass or a stone or something, they crawl under and they hide under it. Nice and dry until the next day. I mean, they don't have much of a lifestyle, when you think about it.
Does their range extend into, or does it extend, or is it precluded from the Nile Delta area? I'm assuming the humidity stays a lot longer and heavier down the Delta. Is that something that they enjoy, or is that something that they avoid in the wild?
Well, I haven't been there, so I can't specifically say that. My understanding is that they follow the coastline a bit down the Nile on both sides. How far down, I don't know. I do know that where Cairo is, there's a lot of Egyptians found in markets in Cairo, but that Cairo is not their natural range. That is
Okay.
well below their natural range.
Okay.
So people think, oh, well, they're found in Cairo. Well, they're not. I mean, they're there because they've been brought in to be sold in markets.
Right.
That's not their natural range that far down.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like keeping? Did you keep them when they were being imported quite a bit? And you said you had a mentor that helped you. But what are some of the pitfalls people have had with Egyptian tortoises, or may have if they don't really know what
Well,
they're
the
doing?
biggest problem, like with any wild caught thing, all right, you see it now with your Kinixis. You open up a box of them, and there's 100 animals, and they've been living in this box for 3 weeks, and they're piled on top of each other, and they're stressed out, and they're the males especially. Males are little to start with, and they stress out real easy, and they die. They just die. And that was a big problem with wild caught stuff, And yet, like with anything else, like the Kinexus again, we just keep bringing them in.
Thank you, underground reptiles.
I didn't say that.
I was talking. I forget who it was, but I was talking to someone, and they were saying Underground closed their retail store, and so even if you live like just down the street from them, they want to ship an animal to you. So probably goes to Tennessee. And, just anyway.
When was it? When was that supposed to close? I was there last summer sometime.
Someone in Florida just told me that.
I just wanted to see it in person.
You went?
Yeah, and
interesting.
One time.
I've never been. Well, here in Ohio, we do have someone working with the Egyptian tortoise. His name is Ron Hatcher, and he's hatched a few. And I think Ron has been in touch with you, Ralph. Is that
Ron Hatcher?
Yeah, have you helped Ron at all?
No, I know who he is.
Okay,
but no, I've never had any dealings with him.
He's a great guy. He's retired from the Columbus Zoo. And,
yeah, that's what I heard. I mean, I've never heard anything negative about him. I've just never personally.
He asked me a little bit about them, and he was kind of having a hard time. I think, just not being real productive. He certainly wasn't having Ralph Till kind of success.
Who does?
Yeah. But it at least this it's kind of neat that we have one person in the in the state at least. But Ralph, do you have a guesstimate on how many people produce them routinely each year in the U.S.?
Say that again.
Do you know how many people are routinely producing Egyptians in the U.S.? Is it a handful? 10? 15 people?
I bet you there's easily a dozen or more.
Okay, that's not too bad.
There's there's a lot of people that have 3 animals or 4 animals, and they get 1 or 2 hatchlings. There's a lot of that out there. I only know of a handful of people that have what I would call a larger group, compatible to what I have here.
Yep. And
those groups on TV. If you don't mind my asking, what is your group?
5.9.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. You got those dialed in too.
Yeah. But it takes a while, This doesn't happen overnight.
No.
And I can't emphasize enough to people, and I don't think it matters whether it's an Egyptian or a box turtle. You don't just acquire it, on a Wednesday and hopefully on Saturday it starts laying eggs for you. It doesn't work that way. These guys got to get acclimated. They got to learn your way. You need to learn their way. Sometimes you pair them up, and the male, they'll reject the male.
Mm-hmm.
Just said no way. I mean, the females will just squat right down, and they will not. They just refuse them.
Yeah.
It happens.
So Dawson had asked, how did you get your first Egyptian?
I bought 2 hatchlings off a guy 15 years ago, and I had to literally beg him to sell them to me.
And now you got people begging you.
And that's really it's
full circle.
And I mean, I got, who am I? Who do I think I am? Why should I sell you Egyptians? And I said, "What, am I going to get a deal?" And he hung up on me the first time, So
that's where you get it from.
So yeah, you learn this stuff, and yeah. So, but I learned,
Yeah.
And then I kept asking questions that weren't stupid. At least in my mind, they weren't stupid. Not what do you feed it. And I mean, if you don't figure that out in the beginning, what to feed it, what kind of water and light and temperatures and that, do your homework,
Yeah.
If you keep asking stupid questions, people are going to get turned off. Do a little research, be a little conscientious.
With all the ones that you've raised up, have you played with or toyed with their light cycle, their heat, their food to see if any method grows them better? I mean, I know a lot of box turtle people like me, when we started doing more aquatic, we started seeing much faster growth, smooth growth, and just a really robust, juvenile as it grows up. Have you seen anything like that with Egyptians?
Yeah, the single biggest issue that I see, and I was guilty of it too, is that you have a tendency to want to overdo it, be too nice to them, too good to them.
Yep.
You give them too much food, you soak them too often, you do everything in extremes because you want positive results. And sometimes it's better to take a step back and don't put enough food in there for 3 days at one time. Just feed them a little tiny bit.
Is Mark Da Silva still in the chat? Is he hearing this?
I don't know.
I love Mark. He's awesome, but he is like that. He watches that. He calls himself, he's a helicopter parent for his tortoises.
Hey, I'm in my room every single day for several hours, every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm guilty too. But that's the stuff I've learned over the years.
Yeah.
You feed them too much. I'm not going to challenge that soaking deal, but I don't think you need to do it as often as we're led to believe. Hell, in the wild, they never get soaked, ever.
Yep. Do you mist yours daily?
I spray the food. I don't spray the whole enclosure down. No. I spray the salad that I give them, and that way they get moisture off of it.
The chameleon people are real big now into fogging, and they will build these complicated foggers and fog their chameleons most of the night. But yeah, it definitely sounds like fogging might be something to experiment with.
And a lot of it is where you live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I come out here in the morning and it's 75% humidity in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I start the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, they're kind of they're experiencing.
You live in California, you don't know what 75% humidity is.
Ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah.
If it drops down to 40% humidity here, we're scratching our skin and putting lotion on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I go to Arizona, I dry up like a potato chip out there.
That's funny. And so that if you think it through, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because the animal is from a desert situation, but the humidity that Florida's experiencing, you're actually taking advantage of that.
Yeah,
But when the lights come on, the humidity is probably dropping in the daytime.
yeah, it'll start to drop.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
yeah, the lights come on, the room warms up a little more. Actually, in the summertime, I have AC, so
AC,
I'm
yeah.
actually cooling
yeah,
it, but I don't cool it down to 60. I
yeah.
just cool it down to 80,
Yeah.
and it dries it out a little bit.
That's awesome.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Been working good.
well, Ralph, how are the spider tortoises doing?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yay!
They are awesome. I I don't know what I've done, but it appears like I've done it right.
I think we all agree.
Um, I have 31 eggs this year, and I just found another egg the other day. It's bad, but that was number 31 for the season. So, I mean,
Congratulations.
I don't.
Yeah. Congratulations. That's
I don't know
awesome.
what to say. What am I doing right? Uh,
Do you keep your Pyxis individually like you do your Egyptians, or do you have them in groups?
I have them in small groups.
Okay. How
And,
small?
and the groups are uh, based on where the animals were sourced from.
Okay.
So the groups, each group is a different bloodline than the other group. And I have three
Yeah.
three groups of them.
And
That's arachnoides.
yeah, and then you have some planicotta.
Yeah, they're young though.
Okay, still young.
Yeah, I mean, they're growing fine, but
Yep.
their planicotta mature real slow. So I'm told. I don't, but I think I'm years away from any kind of planicotta results, any kind of breeding. Um, I have a pair now of Bradui, and they both laid eggs.
Excellent.
So I'm hoping that I'll hatch out. I mean, I hatched a bunch of Bradui already in the past,
Mhm.
but I'm hoping now the other female her eggs will be good. It'll be a first time for her. So yeah,
What
seriously.
what
But,
what is the incubation like again with spider tortoises? Is there a diapause
Diapause.
period required?
5 weeks in the incubator, 5 weeks in the cooler, and then hopefully till the duration back in the incubator.
And
But after about
what temp in the incubator and what temp in the cooler?
87 in the incubator and 65 in the cooler. And
Okay.
and what I've done, which worked last year, is for some reason they kind of lay the eggs in like within a week or two. I don't know why, but I have 5 female arachnoides, and they all lay their eggs like within a week or two. So I just leave them all set in a container, and then I'll put all 5 in the incubator at the same time, and then I'll put that same 5 in the cooler at the same time. So I have them in groups,
Okay.
and this way when they hatch, hopefully they'll all, a group will hatch at the same time.
Right.
Like last year, I think I had 4 of them hatch within a week. Yeah.
It's
That's
nice
always
when
fun.
you do that. Just
Yeah.
have a new little baby every day.
Imagine that,
Yeah, it's great.
especially Pyxis. I mean,
Yeah.
and then sometimes the eggs will, after you take them out of the cooler and put them in the incubator, maybe a month or so will go by, and then I'll start to look at them and see if there's any development happening. and most of them, well, the ones that hatched, obviously, yes, I saw some development. Some of them that had no obvious development, I put them back in the cooler for another month, and then took them out and put them back in the incubator, and lo and behold, they start to develop. Yeah,
That's awesome.
and it can go on. I've heard crazy stories. I had one egg that I think it was like 238 days or something, and I know Anthony had one that was like 268 days or 65 days or some crazy number.
But is that one that took a swim? Is that the one that
All
got
of
dunked in the
Anthony's
water?
turtles took a swim recently. Sorry.
Well, yeah, this was a different flood. But
Sorry.
was it one of his, Anthony? If you're in the chat, was the one that took that long? Was it the one that got dunked in the water? Let us know.
Oh, that I have no idea.
I know
Yeah.
it was either that or it was one of his star tortoise. I can't remember which one. Hopefully he's listening.
But yeah. So anyhow, now not all 31 eggs are good for sure. I probably have 4 or 5 of them that I've tossed out. It's just when they go bad, they go bad. And it sucks, but it is what it is. I can't expect them all to hatch. But out of 31, I think I probably have at least 25 right now. And there's some of them already
awesome.
coming up on the well, one of them is 7/12. So what month is that? 7/12.
July.
It's the 7th month. So 8/12, 9/12, 10/12, 11/12, 12/12. So it's already 5 months. So that's 3 5s. That's 150 days. I had a couple of them hatch at 150 days last year. So, and the eggs look good. So, I mean, I might have some really on the cusp of hatching here pretty soon.
My wife's birthday is July 12th. That's funny. So, Ralph, are all the spider tortoises currently being considered for ESA listing as well?
I would imagine.
Yeah, but I think there's actually a formal petition, isn't there?
Yeah, but it's not. I haven't really actually seen it. I know that there's something in writing, but whether it's been, reintroduced or not, I cannot answer.
Yeah.
I would hope not. I would sincerely hope not.
Yeah.
Once again, I can understand listing the bog turtle or snapping turtles, the alligator snapping turtles, or something in this country, species that are native to this country. I'm all about protecting them and protecting their environment. All right. We need to do it. How the hell can we protect the environment of something that's 10,000 miles away and with a government in place that doesn't care?
Yeah, totally.
And bless their heart, I know organizations like the TSA and that they try mightily to protect them, but they're fighting the same issues. The government doesn't care.
Yeah.
So what's the sense of listing this stuff ESA here?
Yeah.
We can't do anything.
Yeah. What I found is that it appears that the Friends of Animals, who I believe is the same group that petitioned for the Egyptian tortoise, submitted a petition for Pyxis arachnoides on September 27th, 2013. So that was almost 11 years ago.
I'm sure.
Hopefully that has just languished and will languish forever.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Well, I spent a lot of time, too much time, but I spent a lot of time studying the legalities of all this crap.
Yeah.
Once once that ESA listing came out, I spent hours and hours and hours studying it and studying the laws, and it has nothing to do with the animals. It really has nothing to do. It's all about politics. It's all about power. It's all about money. It's all it is. I'm not mad at FWS. I'm disappointed in them, but I'm not mad because they're bombarded with lawsuits, hundreds of lawsuits brought forth by these activist groups.
Yep.
You know, and I mean hundreds.
Yes.
And they're anxious just to get all these freaking lawsuits off their books, you know, so they can function. And you know, that's what happened with the Egyptian, and it's a sad state of affairs. But it's, as said before, it's not about the animals. It's the power. It's the money. That's all it matters. The animals are the losers. Always the animals are the losers. Always.
For sure.
I see it down here in Florida every day. Every day with the gopher tortoise and the manatee and the diamondback terrapin. It's freaking embarrassing. Yeah, you can go on and on and on, you know.
Ralph.
So that's why I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, you know.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to break any law, but I'm not going to roll over either. And if somebody wants to come knocking on the door, hey, come on in, have a look around. There's another thing. I invited my congressman, I invited my state senator, and the FWS representative, whoever the hell he is. I invited all those people to come and see what I'm doing here. I gave them an invitation. And of course, the senator didn't even respond. And the USF FWS guy, he couldn't go off the script. And the local congressman, he had no idea what the hell I was talking about. He sounded like he was a 10-year-old kid. So
Probably is.
probably.
I'm just glad I don't work for government anymore. I can just laugh and joke about it, but you know,
the hardest part was trying to keep my cool, you know. And I was real proud of myself because I had a little script that I had a couple of questions, and I kept saying, be cool, be cool, be cool. You know, I had on this thing, you know.
Yeah, I mean that is the hardest thing to do when you are passionate and you have such a you have so much involved with this, and it really is hard to separate to make positive overtures to the government.
It was. I said, show me what I'm doing wrong. And they would say, well, you know, you can gift them. I said, I know I can do that, but tell me why I should have to. Give me a reason. And I asked, I said, do you know how many are left in the wild? Well, no, sir, I don't have that information. Well, let me tell you, you know, or did anybody there do their research? Well, I'm not sure about that, sir. Well, let me tell you. And of course, I had all the information that they submitted. They had printed all the government stuff. I had it all in front of me. So yeah. So I learned a big lesson.
For sure. Well,
there
Ralph,
was nobody affected more than Ralph with the Egyptian ruling. I mean,
I'm sure there is, you know, but
as much as you.
Maybe nobody took it to heart the way I have. Just,
I don't think anyone's invested as much as you have with Egyptians.
Well, whatever. You know, I just hope to God that it. You know, there's rumors about the pancake tortoise and the rumors about the hingebacks. You know, and whatever. Who knows? Whatever. We don't know. We don't know what's in the pipeline. And if the the hate groups can kind of dictate what's next. You know, they're the ones that are controlling it all. How can it be? You know,
I say we get some of these younger kids to infiltrate those groups, and
That's right.
that way we can find out what's actually being pushed along.
or and another question I had for the FWS guy, I said, you know, you could resolve all this nonsense with just allowing us to have permits. I said,
Right.
if you want to regulate it, fine. I said, let us get a permit. You know, so we had to pay a few $100 for a permit. Let's do it.
You know, I did hear a bit of good news. I forget who told me that bit of good news, but it sounded like there may be a policy change. I remember. But yeah, as far as captive bred wildlife permits, I talked to someone who suggested that the captive bred wildlife permit system was being kind of rolled back so that they could go to a new system that you got a permit, I think, per each species or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember the details anymore. I do know who told me, and it was not anyone that's ever been here on the show or in the chat. But I need to revisit that because I haven't heard anything
Yes, you do.
about that. But
the only permit I'm aware of is what they call a commerce permit, and my understanding is that if you buy an ESA animal, and let's say you're in another state, you can apply for it's a one-time transaction. So you can the permit is like $100, and it takes a month or two to get it approved, supposedly. So you can buy one animal and transport it. Now, the seller has to have a permit and the buyer has to have a permit. Okay. And it's for a one-time, one animal transaction.
yeah,
Okay.
I think that is the gist of what I heard, Ralph, and that is going to be the preferred future. Is what I was.
Well, yeah, I think it's a lot bigger moneymaker for the government. Why wouldn't they want us to do that? If you got to pay per transaction.
So the federal government doesn't need money; they print money.
Yeah, money is not the issue there. Yeah, they and that's what keeps all these hate groups going, is they know it's a bank, you know.
Exactly.
It's a bank for them, and I would be a fan of a CBW permit. It could be species specific, but with no limitations. And if it cost you several $100, like it used to be, you know, you bought one, you had it for 5 years, and you could buy and sell whatever as much as you wanted within that 5-year period.
And weren't they $250 CBWs?
Oh, excuse me.
I think at the time, maybe $200, $250.
I mean, if we're looking at
bump it up, you know,
and that's why I'm saying if they're doing $100 per transaction and both parties have to have one, that's $200 per transaction. You know,
yeah, but
30 hatchlings that have irradiated, and
it's a one-time thing, though. That's you can't do 5 of them for 5 different animals. That's the caveat.
Oh, one, as in one.
One
that's
time.
it, not one per species.
Correct. Well, I don't know all the fine lines there, but it's you know, it's like once a year or a one-time thing. It's not like you want to buy, say, 5 radiated, you get 5 of these permits.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like that idea.
It's every transaction is permitted.
But if you're only limited to one.
Yeah, one.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Well, the future I heard about, you know, it would be, instead of permitting, you know, a CBW permit, every transaction would be permitted. You could do multiple transactions. That's what I heard. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
So, well, gentlemen, it is about 10 after, and Ralph, I really appreciate you joining us on relatively short notice, and we love talking to you.
I gotta figure out this camera thing because
We will help you. We got to
just-
make sure you don't have like a camera bot that's using your camera and like trying to
I
steal.
used it just the
stuff
other
from
day and it worked just fine. So
Yeah, there's some program using your camera, so I would try do a reboot and then turn it back on and see if you can turn on the camera app and get your camera app to use your camera.
Just Ralph, you just got to log back into your OnlyFans account and you gotta shut it off so then you can come back on here.
too much porn, maybe, I don't know.
Okay, gentlemen.
Oh,
Ralph,
sorry, this is a family show. I'm sorry.
thank you very
What?
much.
You could be doing turtles on OnlyFans.
Yes. Hey, why not? Why not? My aquarium light has shut off. Thanks everyone in the chat.
Yeah, I apologize to everyone. I couldn't get
No
the
problem.
camera going. I don't know why.
No
but,
problem. Matthew, next week, Sam, he wanted a tour of my operation. So what I'm thinking next week is that you can be the host and ask me questions, and I'll give a little tour of my turtle room and kind of show you what I'm up to and what I'm doing. So
hey,
cool.
a little shameless plug.
Yes,
go
ahead.
for it.
I'm going to the Galapagos Islands next week.
Woo!
Well, 2 weeks actually. Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
Dude.
So where are the Galapagos Islands? And what's there?
They're in Pennsylvania. I mean, come on, cut me a break.
Do you have a really good camera? Because if you don't, I will send you mine.
No, I have a camera. Yeah.
Okay.
And
you got to get pictures.
Yeah, I've been there before, believe it or not.
Oh, have you?
It was 20 years ago, and so the opportunity presented itself. So I'm going back, and yeah.
I want to do that so bad.
Sounds fantastic, Ralph. We'll have to have you back on and make sure that we can see you and the photos.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm anxious to see the changes. Hopefully, it's all good.
Less rats. I hear.
Yeah, rats and goats.
Yeah.
When I was 20 years ago, they were on a big deal to eradicate goats and rats.
Yep.
And apparently they've done quite a good job. That's
awesome. Wow. Fantastic.
That's so cool.
I love it. Have an absolutely awesome time.
Yeah.
I will. I'll be thinking about you up here freezing.
Yeah, there's
we're freezing for sure
on the ground here.
I had to break out 2 inches of ice today to get my blandings and spotted turtles inside. I got an adult pair and then some younger blandings in a tub outside, and they were doing fine.
I had to put a jacket on this morning. It was horrible.
Oh man, that must be really rough. I'm so sorry for that.
It's
my dad's up here from Miami, and he's saying the same thing. He got soft on us. He got real soft on us.
Yep.
Okay, gentlemen.
Rubbing it in.
Everyone, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks,
we'll see
guys.
you next week. We'll do a live Hinchback tour.
Yeah.
All right. Good night,
For the
everybody.
turtles.
For the turtles.